Hello and good morning. So we decided to do a live demo today, despite my CTO sitting in the back there is best advice not to. So fingers crossed. So Brian is a Kenyan businessman. He works as a software developer running his own company in Nairobi, Kenya. He does work globally, with the majority of the work taking place in the 2 time zones either side of Kenya. That's from the UK, the EU, the Middle East, and most of Africa. Now, Brian is highly competitive from a skills perspective, especially with developers all over the world. But when it comes to dealing with developers in the first world, he has a significant advantage over them, and that being the cost of living in Kenya. Basically, he can charge less than his competition, but still deliver world-class service. In the course of his business, though, he needs to pay contractors all over the world, and he needs to get paid from all over the world. Now, I know we could say here, Bitcoin fixes this, but the reality is that his customers still deal in fiat, and so does he. But because of this, the problem that they face is the high fees of international bank transfers. They don't like paying the high international bank transfer fees, neither does Brian. And Brian doesn't like how long it takes to receive his money, and he doesn't like all the hoops he has to jump through to receive payment via international bank transfer. I'm talking about SWIFT, by the way. The average cost to remit money into Kenya is 9%, and the average cost to send money out of Kenya is 11%. This significantly inhibits his business and offsets his competitive advantage he has of being based in Africa. The end result is that he loses business to competitors who are more expensive than him simply because the cost of getting paid is too damn high. Theo is a Nigerian businessman. His story is very similar to Brian's. He works as a software dev, running his own company in Lagos, Nigeria, serving customers from North America, UK, EU, Middle East, and most of the African continent. Now, Kenya and Nigeria are 5,000 kilometers apart on either side of the African continent. Yet they suffer from the same problems in terms of sending and receiving international payments. The cost of receiving international payments into Nigeria is not as bad as Kenya, it's 4% on average, while sending costs 11%, so really high. Brian and Theo's problems are not unique. Their problem is common all over sub-Saharan Africa, and often it's far worse in many countries around sub-Saharan Africa. The ability to freely and cheaply send money inhibits the fundamental driver of human prosperity: trade. This has to change if Africa is to take advantage of its young and vibrant population, which happens to be perfectly located between East and West. Brian and Theo's problems, the population of Africa is 1.5 billion people, half of which are under the age of 19 years old, meaning that Africa's most economically active and prosperous time still lies ahead of it. The potential held on this continent is absolutely massive, but the missing ingredient is the ability to trade with the rest of the world on the terms that everyone else enjoys. So at Orange, we have one simple mission: to make moving money in and out of the African continent cheaper, faster, and better. And to do this, we think we have to go about it with a radical paradigm shift. We don't think that a 10x improvement in the cost of sending money internationally can be achieved by better banking infrastructure or smarter regulations. Fiat is fundamentally broken. It is nothing more than a system of walled gardens connected by innumerable amounts of gatekeepers and rent seekers. We believe that a 10x improvement can only come by completely changing the game. And this is why we're building on the Lightning Network. We see the Lightning Network as SWIFT beating technology. Being able to send value instantly, anywhere on Earth, at a tiny cost, with at least an order of magnitude fewer intermediaries than the SWIFT network, is what it's going to take to empower the African entrepreneur to be able to compete on equal footing with the rest of the globe. So how does Orange achieve this? Orange connects the Lightning Network to on and off ramps all around the world with specific focus on Africa and the made trade corridors to it. We're a B2B service, meaning we work with existing remittance companies and money movement companies that already have a customer base that is active in Africa. These companies, however, typically have no idea how Lightning Network operates, and they definitely haven't integrated the Lightning Network yet. So what Orange does is we let them send fiat and we connect Lightning Network in the background as the international settlement layer. This means that the traditional companies, the remittance companies, or their end users don't have to interact with Lightning. They just use the fiat rails that they already know. Now guys, I know saying this at a Bitcoin conference, this sounds like blasphemy. I get it. But in order to solve the problems of international remittances for 1.5 billion Africans, we can't introduce additional complexity into this problem. Beyond that, if we're working with companies that deal with these end users, we can't change the way their processes function already if we want to achieve massive traction. So what we've done is we've built an API that connects Lightning-enabled on and off ramps that are moving money on behalf of their clients, and that these companies can then just simply integrate our API and route money to all the off ramps that we've already built into our network. We abstract away the complexity of Lightning by partnering with OTC desks that have integrated the Lightning Network, and this means that they are able to convert fiat to sats, send those sats across the Lightning Network to the destination country, where they get off-ramped by an OTC desk that receives the sats and convert them into local fiat, and then pay those out into a bank account or a mobile money account. This means that the user can send fiat from their local bank account or mobile money account to somewhere else on earth, to another mobile money account or destination bank account, totally different countries, near instantly, and they don't have to interact with Lightning at all. What makes this approach revolutionary is the fact that no working capital is required on behalf of the remittance company. And so for those of you who don't know, typically remittance companies have to keep pools of cash in each country they're working in. So for example, if I have a remittance company that's mainly operating between Nigeria and the USA, I need to keep pools of capital in the US and in Nigeria. Now this has three major costs. First cost comes in the form of a line of credit. Typically they're not using their own money, they're getting this money from a bank that comes with the interest rate associated with it. Second cost, maybe they have enough money and they're using their own capital, but they have to deploy this capital to operations now rather than growth. And the third cost, which is really the largest and what stings the most, is currency devaluation. So if I have to keep a pool of Naira in Nigeria in order to pay out Nigerian customers, because the main flow is USA to Nigeria, I am sitting with a large pool of Naira, but the Naira has lost 40% of its purchasing power against the dollar in the past 12 months. So in order to maintain the float, they have to put more Naira into that bank account. So they're like doubling down on the problem. So this just ends up costing them, a large amount of money, and it's a vicious, vicious cycle. They keep just doubling down on a currency that's devaluing. So let's just circle back to the Lightning Network. How does this work versus the incumbent system? By using the Lightning Network, you require zero float. And this solves all of the three problems that I just mentioned. By using the Lightning Network, you have no float, and you abstract away a lot of the complexity that comes with managing floats, and you end up with better margins as a remittance company. So, but why? Why do you need zero float? Because Lightning sats are globally fungible and can be sent instantly to any point in the network, and because there's a global demand for Bitcoin, it can be off-ramped into local fiat currency anywhere in the world, essentially. So this means a remittance company can buy sats in one point of the world, send them somewhere else, convert them to fiat, and pay them out to the destination bank account. And because of the speed of Lightning, it means that you can send each user's money in individual discrete packets without the need for a float. This fundamentally changes the game. But instead of me talking more about this, how about I show you? And this is where things get squirrely because we're doing a live demo. So, okay, so do you guys remember Brian from Nairobi and Theo from Lagos? Well, they're actually real people, and they also happen to be customers of Orange. So Brian is from Kotani Pay. He's a Kenyan fintech company that has integrated the Orange API, and Theo is from Mava Pay, a Nigerian Lightning company that's also implemented the Orange API, and they serve companies in East and West Africa who want to send money around the world cheaper, faster, better. So the third person I want to introduce you to is Carl. Carl, if you could please stand up and give us a wave. So Carl is going to be the lucky beneficiary receiving these payments. So what's going to happen is we're going to start with Theo, and Theo is going to make the payment to Carl. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to phone Theo quickly and put him on video call. Let's hope my Wi-Fi works. Theo is watching on the live stream, so let's see. All right, it's ringing. Theo, say hi to adopting Bitcoin. There they are. All right, Theo, so how we're going to work this now is Carl is going to pick a random number between 100 and 200. And then we're going to relay that number, so that's a random amount that he's going to receive. Obviously, he's probably going to go for 200, but then Theo is going to take that number and he's going to input it into his system on his side that he's integrated, and he's going to send money to Carl and should arrive with him within a few seconds. Carl, pick a number there, please. 104. Okay, Theo, did you get that? 104 rand. Okay.
Okay, you're on 4, right?
104, yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm initiating the payment now.
Perfect. He's initiating the payment. Okay, so what's happening now is Theo's integrated Orange into their system, and what he's doing is he's doing a bank transfer from Nigeria Naira. He's sending to a destination bank account in Nigeria, so the MavaPay bank account. It's then hitting the API, it's been converted to Lightning, it's been sent across the network, and then it's hitting our local off-ramp, who's converting it back into rands, and is sending it out via third-party bank payout to Cardle. So Cardle should hopefully let us know as soon as it lands. Theo, how are we looking there? Have you sent it? There's Cardle, by the way. Okay. Okay, guys, so this is why doing live demos is always tricky, but the effect is really good when it does work, you know? Carl, how are we looking at this? You're going to tell us when it hits your account. Which bank account are you using, by the way? Okay, that's Capitec, South African bank. And the beauty of what we've done here is that it doesn't matter what bank you're using. You can use any South African bank because we've partnered with their OTC desk. It's got what's called a TPPP license. They can do third-party bank payouts, and they can pay out to any bank account in South Africa. So the interesting thing here as well is the slowest part of the transaction is actually the fiat part. So where it goes, because Lightning is instantaneous, right? So the conversion from sending the fiat on that side and receiving the fiat on this side is normally what takes the longest, and that's because banking APIs are slow and the fiat system is just shit in general. It's a good thing you didn't skip leg day, Carl. Okay, how are we looking there, Theo? Okay, so Theo's just made payment on his side. And also, guys, Theo finished their integration yesterday. So this is why Torek was like, risky move, bro, risky move. Awesome. Thank you very much, Theo. That worked. That was a high-risk maneuver. Thank you. Right. So we're going to do another live demo here for you now. And because this all functions with Lightning, so I'm going to show you how someone in the crowd is able to pay a Lightning invoice, and Carl's going to get some more money. So we have another Carl here to help us. Ah, they're sitting next to each other. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a payment here on my Orange interface to Carl. So now I've just got to find him. This is why I shouldn't have so many merchants on here. Okay, Carl, pick a number between 100 and 200, please. Okay, he's going with 199 Rand. So I'm creating 199 Rand payment, and the reference we're going to use is thanks, Carl. So that should show up in his bank, and we're going to save the payment, and it's going to generate a Lightning invoice. Carl, do you mind coming and scanning this QR code, please? So here you can see it's busy creating it. You should see the QR. It should change the QR. There it is. That's a Lightning invoice. Carl can scan this with any Lightning wallet. Okay, payment's gone through. It's gone through, and we should see the status change over here on this side. Yeah, you can send. Yeah, you're slowing the demo down. Send it. Okay, so it's been sent on Lightning on his side. We'll see there the status just changed. It's going to transferring. That means it's whirring about from Lightning to fiat. And then as soon as that changes to success, Carl over there should have 199 Rand hit his bank account with reference. Thank you, Carl. Funds in.
You owe me a beer.
Yeah, so, guys, you guys are legends. Thank you very much for helping us. Kutani Pay, unfortunately, we were struggling with some technical issues this morning and we had to pull the... Is it working? Whoa, we're going to do a third demo for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to phone in Brian. Brian is from our partner, Kutani Pay. That is amazing that they got it working. So you might have seen us running around like headless chickens earlier. That's because we were trying to get this working. Okay, so I'm phoning in Brian. Brian is based in Nairobi, Kenya, and he's going to be doing a transaction. How's it, Brian? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, good. Good to see you. Okay, Brian, so you're going to be making a M-Pesa transaction using mobile money from Kenya, from your car as well. I love that commitment. Okay, Cardinal, please pick a number between 100 and 200 for us. Okay, Cardinal says 111, please, Brian. 111 rand.
Initiating the 111.
Perfect, thank you. Initiating 111. Okay, so what's happening here, it's slightly different. So the previous one we did from Nigeria, that was a bank transfer, right? And so that's coming from a bank account. And Nigeria and Kenya are very different ecosystems. The banking system in Nigeria is like South Africa, it works very well. Most people use bank accounts. Kenya, different story. Everyone is using mobile money. So we went for two different approaches in these two different African regions. So mobile money is obviously super prevalent. So they've built this on the Kutani Pay stack to integrate mobile money payments. So that 111 rand does an automatic conversion to whatever the live exchange rate is for M-Pesa at that point in time, for Kenyan shillings. I think it's about 0.15 rands to a Kenyan shilling. So what's that, about 4 shillings to 1 rand. So that should be about, 500 shillings or so. 450 shillings being sent. How are we looking there, Brian?
I've initiated the transaction.
Okay, transaction's been created. Okay, how are we looking there, Carl? Fingers crossed. This one was giving us trouble earlier. Refreshing. This is why you bank with Capitec and not F&B, eh? Yeah, Carl, you're gonna get kidnapped after this when people see your balance there. He now has 300 rand on his account. Okay, what's the status on that side, Brian? Oh, reconnecting. That's not a good sign.
Approving the transaction.
Okay, transaction has been approved. So for those who of you are familiar with M-Pesa, who's used M-Pesa before? Right, so as you guys know, it's a USSD framework, right? So you get like a message that says you've got to approve the transaction, put in a certain code, etc. And so this enables people in a very low-tech environment to be able to remit money globally, which is extremely powerful, obviously, because the people who most need remittances are the ones who are using the low-tech phones in the low-tech environments, and the ones who are paying the highest fees of 11%. Okay. How are we looking, Carl? Guys, if we get 3 for 3, I'll be very happy. Okay, it's all done on Brian's side, so it should be showing up soon. So, how's the weather, guys? Yeah, I know you can. You take my money all day. So while we're waiting, guys, there's a few fun things you can do in Cape Town. I highly recommend the Constantia Wine Walk by Natural Wonders. You will get the best quality wine walk you've ever had through some of the oldest wine farms, well, definitely the oldest wine farms in Africa, by a phenomenal host, Matthew Stone. He accepts Bitcoin. Great thing to do. The other thing you can do, if you're into snakes and like chameleons and frogs and things, I know there's a few weirdos in your always that like these things, but I can highly recommend Matt Van G Travels. He does phenomenal herpetology tours all over Southern Africa. Where's Tyron? I know Tyron's really into that kind of thing. You want to go see some scorpions? Chat to your boy. But also accepts Bitcoin. Okay, Carl, how are we looking? Not yet. Brian, how are we looking there? Hey, it's received. Thank you, Brian. All right, Brian, thank you very much for that. Okay, guys, so Brian has been on the line since like 6 a.m. They've been coding, fixing things. So amazing, we got 3 for 3. Great work there. So, guys, what we just showed you was the first glimpse of what we've been building in Orange. Through our co-integration of APIs with partners like Kotani Pay and MarvaPay, you can scan those QR codes to access their apps. We're able to build out a network of fiat on and off ramps around the continent, all connected via the Lightning Network. And what we're doing is we're starting right here in South Africa first, right at home, and then expanding into the rest of the continent. Now, we see 2 major commercial opportunities in Africa. The first, we all know about remittances. Last year, $90 billion of remittances flowed into Africa at an average cost of 8%. 8. That is $7.2 billion in fees that were paid by Africans to receive remittances. The second opportunity that we see is, and this is an ironic number, $420 billion worth of exports left Africa last year, 25% of which came from South Africa, $110 billion. With Orange, we aim to serve African exporters so that they can get paid by their global trading partners faster and at a fraction of the cost. African countries export vast amounts of commodities, and the costs of getting paid for these commodities are absolutely extortionate. We aim to change that. Next up, we're bringing a euro on-ramp to Orange, meaning that we have a channel for euro payments into Africa. And over the next 12 months, we're aiming to open up corridors between the EU, as I just mentioned, the UK, the USA, with at least 10 African countries. Orange works with businesses that are already involved in moving money into the continent. And if you're a business that's involved in the remittance space or facilitate transfers for the export industry, come and speak to Orange about how you can integrate our API. There's our website over there. You can scan that QR code. That also, incidentally, only went up this morning, about 10 minutes before we went live. There was a flurry of activity. Guys, for too long, Africa has been subject to extortionate banking fees. It's time for change. I thank you.